Today in the crypto space, we see a bit of a push to the upside. Bitcoin at around 44K and Ethereum pushing to that $2,500 mark. Guys, looking pretty bullish here for Ethereum and its ecosystems. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins are a mix of green and red. However, guys, we do have some good pops to the upside. Look at Kaspa and XMR getting a bit of a rally back up to the upside. However, guys, we have a few dips. Look at Tau. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator. But more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin, one project that is looking pretty good, and that project is called Metis. So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market. Let's take a quick look at this top 100. Bitcoin getting a nice little pop to the upside. You know, it's still within range, though. That's something that we got to consider, is that Bitcoin's still within range. Yes, it's up 1.5%, but the range is still there. Ethereum, on the other hand, because it already looked really propped up and really ready to rock it, it is looking a lot more bullish, even though it's still only up 1.5%. The fact is that Bitcoin is still within range with a lot of resistance, where Ethereum is potentially breaking out here, guys. You know, it is getting into a zone where it starts to show a lot of weakness in the local price action. And that weakness means that Ethereum could definitely start running to the upside. So we got to understand that weakness is a good thing if you're expecting volatility. And at the current moment, Ethereum is taking full advantage of the weakness above. All right, guys, let's continue. What else do we got here? We got BNB pushing to higher levels. Again, it looks like all the ETH-based projects are showing strength. We have Lido staked ETH doing pretty good. And we have Chainlink, you know, going sideways. At least it's going sideways. Polkadot getting a bit of strength to the upside. Polygon showing strength up 2%, which is pretty good. At least a little bit of a pop to the upside. On these altcoins, Uniswap making a higher high as we speak. Pretty good, up only 1%, but still showing a lot of strength here. This is important when you see this type of price action, especially when they all relate to one ecosystem, which is Ethereum. It's looking pretty good. Optimism looking good, up another 2.5% for today. Not bad. And if the list goes on, guys. Kaspa doing pretty good, 18% pop to the upside, guys. A lot of bullishness on Kaspa. Of course, one of the major gainers in the last little while has been Kaspa. I've been holding Kaspa. I'm not selling any of my Kaspa. At this rate, just hold till the bull run, in my opinion. I took a bit of profits earlier on to de-risk my position, and in this case now I know that just holding is a great move. So just hold your positions, because Kaspa could be doing very well in the next little while. We have BitTensor Tau taking a bit of a pullback after another rally to the upside. Guys, BitTensor in my current, based on the current analysis, is not looking the greatest, in the sense that there's bearish divergence everywhere. It has hit extension levels already. Guys, join me live tonight at 7:30 Eastern. We'll talk about BitTensor Tau, and it is a great time and place for you to make those requests, and I'll put your requests in top priority. Let's continue going down here. We have Filecoin going sideways. I like Filecoin, you guys know that. Lido DAO getting a nice pop to the upside. We have Arbitrum showing strength as well. Monero getting a nice bounce to the upside after a huge dump yesterday, based on the fact that BNB delisted Monero. Guys, you know, as a privacy coin, you can expect a lot of centralized exchanges that are looking for compliancy are basically going to start to frown upon, you know, these privacy tokens or projects. At the end of the day, guys, it's a level of compliance. It's a level of, you know, regulation that we have to be prepared for. Let's continue going down. We have Stacks looking pretty good. Chronos, CRO getting a bounce to the upside. VeChain kind of going sideways, but you can see that the market is looking okay. Another one that's part of the ETH narrative doing really good. A nice bounce to the upside, 1.6%. Again, these bounces are not huge, but they're still pretty decent. decent in the sense that there are indications that the Ethereum narrative could be playing out any moment. Algorand looking strong, 3.5%, 3.7%, not bad. And you can see the general consensus is that there's a lot of altcoins running right now. That's it. You know, and Osmo is doing pretty good. A bit of sideways throughout the market, of course, but generally speaking, generally as an overall consensus, there's some pretty good price action here. Look at CFX, 15% for today. Good pop to the upside, and we keep on going down. Jupiter getting a 9% run. That's not bad given the fact that it did slip down to lower levels in the last little while. But again, guys, generally speaking, this market's looking good. Altcoin season could be around the corner. This is why I'm being very aggressive in the altcoins, deploying capital on dips, any opportunities where I see good horizontal price action for support. I am definitely scaling in and taking a bit of risk along the way as we come down to these lower levels. Guys, let's get right into it. I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin our analysis talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin at the end of the day right now is looking a bit strong. You got to admit, it's hitting a good level of horizontal resistance, so which means that it's pushing up. It's pushing up to the sense that it could actually break out here. If it does break out, guys, we're going to expect Bitcoin to start making higher highs, and then we're going to see if the bears are going to start pushing the price right back down, perhaps entering shorts to the downside. This is a very possible thing. Me personally, I am not getting into any fresh longs on Bitcoin. I'm not interested in it. At the end of the day, Bitcoin did a great run to the upside. There's a lot of potential volatility here. We got some whipsaw price action, straight up, straight down price action that I'm not interested in. At the end of the day, I know it deleveraged a lot of the positions and got people washed out, but at the end of the day, I'm looking for altcoins, guys. I'm looking for opportunities where the volatility is at, and I think that a best bet right now is to be looking at Ethereum, large cap altcoins, and start looking at those mid caps and then micro caps and all of those, because at the end of the day, that's where the gains are at. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on the market in that, with that regard. That's my lens in the next little while, is looking for the volatility. So not Bitcoin, I'm not really active at the current moment. Why? Because there's still bearishness here in momentum. The momentum is still pushing downwards. Now you can see that the price action is somewhat propped up right now, while the momentum on the RSI is still sloping very, very clearly to the downside. Okay, so for me, that's not enough. This could be a class A bearish divergence, and at the end of the day, even if we make a slightly higher high or break above this horizontal resistance, as long as this is starting to look like downward sloping momentum, whether it be even if we start pushing up a little bit more, as long as it's downward sloping, guys, the bearish divergence is intact, and it's likely that we see Bitcoin roll over after a distribution phase in this zone. So I'm not really interested in it at this current moment. Let's move on. Let's take a look at Metis. Metis is the project for today, guys. Metis is doing pretty good. I like its price action because of the clarity. That's all it really is. It's about the clarity at the end of the day. We saw higher highs on the price action, okay? We were seeing lower highs on the RSI. That's class A bearish divergence. That's a very good indication that we could be losing a bit of steam. However, we have to understand that there could be 3 drives of bearish divergence, which means that we can get another higher high while still maintaining this path to the downside on the momentum until we get oversold. And sometimes we go sideways here in the chop zone, which is at the 50% mark on the RSI. We could go sideways, get a bit of a bounce, and still be downward sloping and still come down to the oversold condition. So what I'm trying to say here, guys, on the daily, it is a bit risky, no doubt. But what is the bullishness behind this? The bullishness is the fact that we consolidated right here very nicely. We identified this zone as a weak spot a while back live on one of the streams. Then all of a sudden, what we have at the current moment is an indication of support. Now we can get rid of this red, because this red was weaker in the sense, and I left this doubled up, right? Because I expected a bit of a weak spot, right? And you can see it based on the volume profile, view PVR right here. You can see that there's a weak empty spot of price action. If we include a little bit more price action, you'll see that there's a little bit of clarity here on the daily. We can, kind of push it down a little bit, or, nickel and dime a little bit down here to about 40, maybe about even $42. That's very possible. But why I decided to keep it at this level is because of the previous top right here. We also have to understand that we got another top that could act as support. So we could come down to about 43. And you can see that we could even come down to even about, 35 or so. And, there's a bit of weakness that slowly increases to become a good level of support based on this volume right here. A lot of market participation in the zone. So if we do continue falling down, we do have a weak spot. We do have some weakness all the way down to about 40 more or less. Okay, you can see that the majority of the weak spot is right into this red box at to about 50. Okay, so that's where it's a lot clearer, about 50. Below it, it's still weak, but not as weak as this empty box right here. Now, the top of the volume gap is usually a place where we could get a reaction and get a nice bounce, and this is what we're testing at the current moment. Let's make this a little bit more clear. Let's tidy it up a little bit. I got some green arrows in there for you guys to kind of, I'm going to try to squeeze this a little bit lower, just a little bit, so we can respect these bottoms a little bit better. And I'm going to make this box a little less wide, so it's a little bit more relevant. Then when we kind of scooch this way and we get a horizontal line in here, it makes it a little bit easier to see what we're doing. And you can see, boom, right here, this is a good level to expect a level of support. The majority of the weakness is right into the zone, and like I mentioned, okay guys, there's a bit of weakness right into here as well. We got to understand, but this is a little bit more secure and safe to say that if we do break below, it's likely to hit about $50. Now, there's another level of confluence that I do like, which is the 200 daily EMA, which is the orange line right here. As we go sideways, the orange line is going to flatline. It's going to potentially do one of these. Now, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go. It could do something like that and go sideways a little bit. It could even jump right through and slowly grind like this and hold support, to the point that even this price action might even get support right here and get a nice reaction to the upside, whether it be a double top, lower high, higher high with class 8 bearish divergence, whatever it is. We could get a reaction off of this horizontal support where we are right now, which is at about $73. So you can imagine what the game plan could be. At this point, it's about where you're willing to take risk. At the current moment, the risk that you're taking to get into a fresh long is that the momentum gets oversold and gets into oversold conditions here on the RSI. That would mean that it's likely that we break below, and then we start hitting the $50 zone. Obviously, we're going to wait for oversold conditions. We're going to wait for bullish divergence at these lower levels to get good entries, right? We'll jump down to the 4-hour and start looking for entries. But I'm looking at the $50 zone before I start to get interested on the daily, right? Just on the daily. If we look at the MACD is looking quite interesting because, let me zoom in here, show you what I mean. The MACD is looking pretty good because we could be getting an EMA cross any moment, and we could be getting a green histogram bar to the upside. The only issue is that we were already in the bullish control zone all the way up here. This is our first attempt to get down to the bearish control zone. Do we get a bit of relief to the upside and then continue to the downside into the bearish control zone and see a further dip? This is where we're at. So the daily is a bit confused in my opinion. The daily's at a level where it's like, okay, we could come down and hit $50, or we could get a bit of a bounce based on the fact that we are in the chop zone, the 50% mark on the R side. The MACD looks like it's looking for that cross and that overall pop to the upside. So it's all possible. This drop to the 4-hour. The 4-hour at the end of the day is looking pretty good. Why? Again, the horizontal support, 1, 2, potentially 3, 4 touches at the $73 zone. Okay, guys, and we have that volume gap like I mentioned. Lots of good empty price action here to see this thing fall. But if you look at the momentum came from oversold conditions, and it is currently looking to get overbought. Now, the last time that happened, this is where we hit, and let's go see what happened there. The last time that happened, we came up to this level. We got a nice impulsive move to the upside and then a nice retracement, and that took us over to oversold conditions, and we made lower lows on the price action and lower lows on the RSI as well. We got a bit of follow through to the upside without any bullish divergence, unfortunately, but it's all good. The bullish divergence could still play out, or it could still be printed any moment. This is the reality. We're at support, consolidations, W's, inverse head and shoulders, cups and handles, all the patterns that we look for to suggest pivot point could be built here in the next little while. If you look at this, we have a shoulder right here. Let me get my pen mark out here. Shoulder, head, and maybe we get rejected at this level right here. We take a bit of a dip, come back down, make the right shoulder, and start running to the upside. Let me get rid of this these other scribbles here so we can make more sense of what I'm trying to say. You can see a shoulder, head, shoulder is definitely possible. And if you look at what's happening here, it looks a little divergent. Now, I know this is a slightly lower low. I can see that. But generally speaking, what happens is it's not that low. The reality is this could be even considered a double bottom. It's maybe a class C bullish divergence. But if you look at the MACD is looking a little different. Compare this dip to this dip. Look at this. This is class A bullish divergence. This dip was right here, guys, while this dip is pretty much over here. So there's a little bit of a change in trajectory here with regards to momentum. And as you can see, we dipped down right around this level and starting to move to the upside. Look at this MACD, how the trend in the immediate short term is looking like it wants to get into the bullish control zone here on the 4 hour. So the 4 hour is looking okay as long as we can hold this level and we can get a better entry close enough to invalidation. Where's your invalidation? At the previous low, because again, if we break below this $71, $72 mark, it's likely to hit that $50 zone. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to put a stop loss right into here? Or are you going to get into a small position at this current level? And if it falls, you got to double down, triple down, and basically get in big so that you can drag your average cost down. Both are viable options, but both are required that you protect your initial investment through position size. So if you get in with a big position size, you got to protect your investment using a stop loss. If you get in with a small position size, you already are protecting your capital by getting in small. And that way, when you come down, you can DCA heavier and drag your average cost down. And then upon a bounce to the upside, guys, you're back into profit. Personally speaking, I don't mind putting a bit of a stop loss because the dip is pretty big. If we do fall through, it's likely to get hit at about 50%, $50, which is at about 30% dip. That's a significant one. Okay, so this is where the risk management comes into play. But ultimately, Metis, I'm looking for the daily to get oversold, guys. Back to the daily. I'm looking for an oversold condition to get some more conviction where I'm ready to deploy capital, where I'm ready to get into my big positions. If I get in right now, I'm going to be playing with a small portion of my portfolio, given the fact that there's associated risk at the current entry. We could definitely get a bit of a bounce here. Maybe even looking at this as a head and shoulders, right? I know this looked like an inverse head and shoulders. We could get that relief to the upside, okay? And make that right shoulder on this head and shoulders. This could be a shoulder, head, and then we pop up, get rejected at one point, and make another shoulder. And then what happens is that we start using this as the neckline. And what's really good about looking at it like this is the fact that we already are getting the bearish divergence. We'll get this pop, the confirmation high, the lower high, and then follow through to the downside and start breaking necklines and coming down to lower levels. The $50 mark is where I'm going to get in very heavy here on Metis. I'll consider it a great risk to reward ratio opportunity. And of course, I'll be looking for horizontal support. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, you know what you got to do. You got to slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. And of course, join me live tonight at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, see you tonight. Take care. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.